Hi everybody, Lynette Zhang, Chief Market Analyst here at ITM Trading, a full-service physical precious metals brokerage house. So this morning I'm going to do a Q&A a little different. It's based upon what I talked about yesterday with the de-pegging of the currencies. And so I did go in and I pulled the questions, and I'm going to start with the simple ones and then finish up. So the first one is from Scott, and he asks, what do central banks do when they peg? Do they purchase the other entities' currencies or print money or something else? Well, actually, you hit the nail right on the head. They will either buy other currencies and sell their currencies in order to weaken it, or they will sell other currencies and buy their currencies to strengthen their currency against that peg and maintain it. So yes, that's exactly how they do it. They buy and sell reserves as well as their currency. Okay, then Wade asks, when does the yuan get the official reserve currency status? It already has it. It's actually had it for a little while, but more formal when it was entered into the SDR basket. It is not, however, the world reserve currency against which all assets are valued. That, at least officially today, is still the dollar until it becomes the SDR. That's my opinion. We'll know when it happens, and we might actually know the month of April. So I'll keep you posted on that one. Okay, that one's the one I'm going to answer. Okay. Jesse, you had an excellent response to the question, but then you asked another great question. How will a reset affect banks, and more importantly, their depositors? Well, at first, because all of the banks are insolvent, they will do a bail-in and convert any holdings in the bank into equity in that failing institution. They have to issue equity because of the eminent domain laws, but whatever you have inside of the system will go to, when it goes reset, it'll reset. You know, I don't know exactly what that number will be, but a lot of times it's 1,000 to 1. So it'll be bailed in, and then you'll end up having a whole lot less value from whatever they say that you can still have. And Capricorn asks, how long do I think it will be before the reserve dollar is no longer the US dollar? Well, again, we're going to talk more about this in this coming month, but Jim Rickards seems to think that it could be announced as early as April 21st. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on that. And, okay, so now I've got some charts I'm going to show you. Quan asks, how about the pegging of the Hong Kong dollar and the US dollar, which has been pegged for the last 3 decades and trades inside of a very narrow range? Now, they also say that the Hong Kong dollar to the US dollar is substantially undervalued. But yes, at some point, and we're seeing this already occurring, the pegs from all of those currencies are beginning to break down. And then and then Maximum asks, the British pound is not pegged to the euro dollar or the US dollar. What has Brexit do with the de-pegging? Well, actually, here it is. Okay, I ran a relative performance chart so that you could actually see. And so here's the British pound. So when they announced the Brexit, can you see that big, huge shift right there? So this is a relative performance chart against the euro and the US dollar. And you can see how this looks kind of like a mirror image because these are free floating. But the British pound has been tied. It's part of the Eurozone. So no, it's not part of the euro currency. They didn't adopt it, but it is part of the Eurozone. And so breaking apart that union is a way to break the peg in that euro dollar. So I hope that answered your question. All right, now, here's what I want you to know. I'm gonna use Venezuela as a pretty good example of what it looks like, because the question is, SoCal Freelance asked this. I'm curious what a global currency reset looks like. Okay, so here is, we'll answer this part first. This is what the reset looked like in this country in 33 when they reset the gold dollar ratio, value of the gold in terms of dollars from $20 an ounce to $35 an ounce. And again, in this country in 1971, when we shifted money standards again, and they reset in 71, they reset the value from $35 to $42.22. Then we went on free, up to this point, everybody was pegged. Then we went on free floating. But you can see what the result of that reset peg was. So in this country, yes, we do have experience with it. It's happened over 4,800 times in globally. So even though a complete currency reset has never taken place, there is a lot of precedence for what is most likely to happen. At first, you have people running to the stock market to extreme overvalued levels, which is where we are right now inside of the global stock market. But this goes to the greater fool theory. Who's the greatest fool? The guy that still owns it when it goes like that. This is showing you how illiquid these markets are. That is true in this country, everywhere in the world. But here's a great example from Venezuela. Also, what happens with bonds? Well, we all know that the interest rates are at the lowest level they've been historically. Okay, so these are the Venezuelan bonds. And as their currency was falling apart, and it still is, that's not in conclusion yet, but you can see that the interest rates exploded as the bond principal value, market value, imploded. So that's how they do a reset. They've got to get rid of all of that debt. So they repay those debts with, in Venezuela's case, bolivars. In our case, it'll be US dollars. We repay that debt with dollars that have zero value because all confidence is lost. Now, prior to that, though, they definitely want to make sure that you cannot protect yourself. So in this case, in 2011, they confiscated monetary gold along with the gold mines, etc. Okay, and then it's actually like 3 or 4 times this now. But that's what happened to gold after they did the confiscation. They did the confiscation here, right, when it was 169 bolivars for an ounce of gold. And then after that, then the hyperinflation and the resetting began to kick in. So that's what happens. But what I also really want you to understand, when we're talking about pegging, that's one fiat currency to another fiat currency. But against good money, gold, there is no fiat currency ever holds its value, period. End of discussion. So I hope that answered your questions. If you have more, type them in. We'll answer them. And like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, come to the April 11th webinar. I think it's one of the best ones that I've ever done. And I know they're going to laugh at me, but I always try to make them better and better for you. But I'm very excited. For those of you, those are on a PowerPoint. And then there's a live Q&A afterwards. So please come. I know you're going to enjoy it. And give us a call, 888-696-4653, and share this information with everyone. Bye-bye. See you next week. Be safe.